monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. Now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars if I get elected. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
It's important not to take the statement out of context. He was talking about the auto industry at the time, but he suggested in a broader way that a bloodbath could ensue if he lost. Now, he can say he's only talking about the auto industry, but he just recently inspired a violent insurrection and has repeatedly endorsed political violence in the past. So I think it's appropriate to be alarmed and concerned when he uses similar language now, especially given the way we know his supporters tend to interpret his remarks.
I don't think you're going to have another election in this country. If we don't win this election, I don't think you're going to have another election, or certainly not an election that's meaningful.
We have a number of examples of Trump supporters taking his words literally and or seriously. Most notably on January 6th, he tweeted to his supporters telling them to come to the protest saying, "We'll be wild." And then he gave a speech encouraging them to fight and resist the counting of the Electoral College votes at the Capitol. And people took those words seriously. They went ahead and stormed the Capitol. It only takes a small number of people to cause violence, chaos, disruption, and worse. So with millions of people hanging on his every word, we have to worry about even small numbers of people taking matters into their own hands.
I only want to be a dictator for one day. And I'm going to be a dictator, Sean, for one day. And I'm going to close up the border, and I'm going to drill, baby drill, and after that, I'm not going to become a dictator.
It has similarities. There are similarities there. Trump can say, "Oh, I was being provocative. I don't actually want to be a dictator. It's just for a day." But it has the same elements of a plausible deniability combined with a kind of authoritarian rhetoric, saying it would be good to be a dictator, if only for a day, right? But we've seen in other countries how temporary dictatorships can become permanent. We don't want the president of the United States. It's not something about being a Democrat or Republican. It's about the kind of authoritarian approach that Donald Trump has repeatedly told us he will take. The fact that he could win in an election does not make that kind of behavior or rhetoric any more legitimate. It
Folks, it's not hyperbole to suggest our freedoms are literally on the ballot this November. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are trying to take our freedoms away. And by the way,
as a political scientist, I fully recognize that campaigning on threats to democracy may not be the most effective way to defeat Trump. The economy matters most in presidential elections. The punishment for voters for violating democratic norms is real, but it's pretty small. And voters, I think, are aware that Trump says offensive and outlandish things. This may not seem like new information. Going back to the 2016 campaign, there's some evidence that Hillary Clinton may have talked too much about the ways in which Trump was abnormal or offensive and too little about the economy. So, these kinds of messages may have diminishing returns electorally. That is what it is.